Welcome to my next Lost. Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that though, pretty important. If you aren't caught up to the point where I am at rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, everyone, I've already seen the show Lost 3 other times. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. However, I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who you see in my comments section for Lucifer, Dexter, Breaking Bad, and physical media related videos, is actually watching Lost for the very first time. So, join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, I don't want to see any spoilers past this episode. So with all that said, this will be Lost. Season 4, Episode 5. The title of this episode is called The Constant. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. Now, a lot of people will say that this is their favorite episode of Lost. Not me. I like it, but it's not my favorite episode of Lost. So, Desmond and Sayid travel on the helicopter to the freighter, piloted by Frank Lapidus. Desmond is looking at the picture of him and Penny. Frank is flying the route that Daniel Faraday gave him, and Sayid worries when their course leads straight into a thunder ahead. They experience turbulence, which becomes progressively worse, and Frank struggles to keep the correct bearing. The helicopter drifts from the 305 heading to 310, and Desmond begins experiencing flashes. Desmond wakes up in the Royal Scottish Regiment military barrack at Camp Millar, north of Glasgow, Scotland. As the morning drill begins, the sergeant major starts to shout at him because he did not respond promptly to the wake-up call. He demands an explanation, and Desmond explains he was having a very vivid dream about being in a helicopter. Sir, and there was a storm, sir, and I don't remember the rest, sir. The sergeant major comments that it was at least a military dream, but still mocks him. As punishment for Desmond's lack of concentration, the sergeant major orders the entire platoon to get ready for the morning routine in double time, 4 minutes instead of the normal 8 minutes. Then Desmond wakes up in present time after his flash and is very disoriented. He struggles with his seatbelt and is panicking, appearing as if he wants to jump out of the helicopter. Sayid tries to calm him down, asking him if everything is okay. Desmond, puzzled and afraid, asks Sayid what his name is, not recognizing him. On the island, Jack and Juliet are worried about the helicopter as they haven't heard from Desmond or Sayid for a day. They question Charlotte and Daniel Faraday as to why there is no news of their friends. Charlotte is indifferent, even though, as Juliet points out, the freighter is only 40 miles away, which is about 20 minutes of flying. Juliet's main concern is that neither Charlotte nor Daniel seem all that concerned. Against Charlotte's wishes, Daniel admits that the perception of time on the island might be different than the time experienced off the island. He says that as long as Frank Lapidus uses the bearings that were given to him, the people on the helicopter should be fine. If not, there could be side effects. Desmond then pulls out his picture of him and Penny, which appears to relax him. The thunderstorm clears and the helicopter lands on the freighter. Men come running toward Frank Lapidus, asking who Desmond and Sayid are and why they brought them with him. And Frank explains that they are survivors of Flight 815. One of the guys says that he shouldn't have brought them on board. Desmond is distressed and starts yelling that he doesn't know Frank and Sayid. Sayid agrees to let the men take Desmond to the doctor, but Desmond has another flash before they can. Desmond is in the rain, standing while all the others in his platoon do crunches. The sergeant major ridicules him again and makes the entire platoon run as a punishment for Desmond's erratic behavior. Desmond speaks to Billy, one of his friends in the platoon, and tells him about the dreams he has been experiencing. His friend is in disbelief and asks if there is anyone who he knew in the dream. Desmond remembers that in the helicopter he was holding a photo of Penny. He hurries to the nearby phone booth to call her. However, just as he is about to go in, someone bumps him, sarcastically thanking him for the extra work the Sergeant Major made them do on the account of Desmond's disobedience. As Desmond reaches down to pick up the dropped coins, his consciousness returns to the freighter. Keamy, played by Kevin Durand, introduces him and Omar and brings Desmond down to the sickbay only to lock him in. Desmond panics and starts pounding on the door and screams to be let out. He hears a voice behind him saying, "You have it too." Turning, he sees a man lying on the bed, strapped to it. The man asks him if it is happening. Asks him if it is happening. I had it right the first time, to Desmond as well. Saeed surveys the freighter. He notices a closed-circuit camera on the railing beside him. Looking up to a higher deck, he sees Keamy and Frank arguing. As Frank comes down the stairs to meet with Saeed, Saeed asks him why they left at dusk but arrived at midday. Frank doesn't know. Saeed asks for the phone, which Frank will give him only if Saeed gives him his gun. Saeed gives Frank his gun, so he must trust Frank Lapidus, and Saeed calls Jack. He tells Jack that Desmond doesn't seem to remember anything. Jack puts the phone on speaker. Daniel Faraday asks if Desmond has been subjected to radiation or electromagnetic energy. He then says that by coming out of the island, some people might get a little confused, but it is not amnesia. In the medical room, after Minkowski falls asleep, that's the guy that they were talking to on the phone in season 3, a Dr. Ray, who's the character that was Eckley on CSI Crime Investigation, enters. Minkowski wakes up and tells Ray that this will happen to everyone else once they go back to the island. The doctor injects Minkowski with a sedative. The doctor then examines Desmond's eyes with a light so he can help him. In the middle of the phase, Desmond has another flash. After picking up the coins on the ground, Desmond enters the phone booth to call Penny. Troubled by his call, Penny tells him that he shouldn't be calling her, as he broke off with her and then joined the army. She adds that she has moved and hangs up after telling him not to call her anymore. When Desmond tries to respond, the flash ends. Saeed and Frank come down to the medical bay to bring Desmond the satellite phone, saying Faraday wants to talk to Desmond, but Ray disagrees. When Saeed and Frank try to subdue the doctor, he pushes the alarm button. Saeed quickly gives the phone to Desmond because Daniel Faraday, who is on the other end, urgently needs to speak with him. Daniel asks Desmond what year he thinks he's in. Desmond answers that it is 1996, 8 years earlier. Daniel Faraday then asks him where he is supposed to be. When Desmond tells Daniel that he is supposed to be on the base, Daniel tells him to catch a train to Oxford to meet with his past self. Desmond, he gives Desmond some mechanical settings to relay, along with telling him that he knows about if that doesn't work, tell him that he knows about Eloise. And then Daniel assures him that that will convince him that the story is legitimate. When Omar and Keamy force their way into the medical bay to stop the call, Desmond has another flash. Desmond visits Daniel Faraday at Oxford. The 1996 Faraday chastises a student and rants to himself. Desmond approaches and tells Daniel that he has been to the future where Daniel told him to find him in the past. Daniel Faraday is suspicious, feeling that his colleagues are playing a prank on him. Desmond recites the settings Daniel gave him, 2.342 and 11 hertz. Faraday's interest is, he's interested now, but not sufficiently. Desmond then uses the final piece of information Daniel had given him on the phone. I know about Eloise. Desmond goes with Daniel Faraday to a secret room where Daniel does what Oxford frowns upon. Daniel then asks Desmond if his future self remembers his particular meeting between the two of men, to which Desmond responds negatively. Desmond adds that maybe you just forgot, which makes Daniel laugh. Daniel adds that one cannot change the future, but he puts an anti-radiation vest on. Desmond asks why he doesn't get one, but Daniel says that it is necessary only for prolonged exposure. as he does the kind of thing 20 times a day. Desmond asks why Daniel doesn't put something on his head, but Daniel again laughs at the comment. Daniel pulls out Eloise, a rat from a cage, and puts it in a maze. After collaborating a machine according to Desmond's instructions, Daniel turns it up to unstick Eloise in the time. The machine it has a bright purple ray on the rat and then stops. Quickly, Daniel takes off his anti-radiation vest and looks at the rat without doing anything yet. And as she is not back yet, when she is, Daniel removes the little door at the beginning of the maze to let the rat walk in and find the exit. Without any hesitation, the rat quickly finds the exit of the complex maze. Daniel Faraday is extremely happy, but Desmond doesn't understand why this is incredible. Daniel answers that he built the maze the morning before, and he is not going to teach the rat how to run it until an hour later. He has sent her consciousness, her mind, in the future. Desmond then confronts Daniel Faraday as to why he sent him here if not to help him. He then adds that Daniel in the future is on a bloody island, to which Daniel replies, "Why would I go to an island?" Kimi takes the phone from Desmond. He and Omar take Frank outside the room because the captain wants to talk to him. Saeed adds that he wants to talk to the captain, to whom Kimi answers sarcastically, "I'll be sure to let him know. In the meantime, have a seat." Desmond tries to get back using the doctor's flashlight, but doesn't succeed. After Saeed calls Desmond by name, Minkowski suddenly reacts. He tells them that he is George Minkowski, the communication officer. Before they strapped him down to a bed, all the calls to and from the boat went through him in the radio room. Every so often, a light flashed on his console to indicate an incoming call. They were under strict orders to never answer these calls, which were from Desmond's girlfriend, Penelope Whitmore. Desmond wakes up in Daniel's Oxford room. Desmond replies to Daniel that he was in the future for about 5 minutes. Faraday thinks it was a lot longer. Desmond then notices that the rat is dead from a brain aneurysm. Desmond confronts Daniel about it, but Daniel says that he doesn't know if Desmond is going to die also. Eloise's brain short-circuited. She couldn't tell the difference between the past, the present, or the future, as she didn't have anything to attach herself. She did not have a constant. Daniel tells him about the need for Desmond to have a constant, something that is present in both times and that he sincerely cares about and can recognize. Desmond grabs the phone and calls his constant, Penny, but the number has been disconnected. When Desmond's consciousness returns to 2004, he knows he has to contact Penny. He tells Saeed, but Minkowski interrupts to say that 2 days earlier, someone sabotaged all the equipment. All communication with the mainland has been lost. Minkowski could have fixed it, but he is unstable. Saeed asks where the radio room is and frees Minkowski to show them the way. Saeed asks how they are going to get out of the room, but Minkowski notices that the door is open. They seem to have a friend on the boat, as Minkowski says. Desmond notices that Minkowski has started to bleed from his nose as they prepare to leave. Who is this friend on the boat? We will find out in a few episodes. Charles Whitmore is bidder 755 at a Southfields auction for lot 2342, the Journal of the Black Rock's First Mate. The contents have not been published and are unknown to anybody outside the family of the seller. The auctioneer announces that Charles has won the auction for £380,000, I believe that is. Desmond arrives and tries to get past the guard to talk to Whitmore. After the auction ends, Whitmore walks out and agrees to talk to Desmond in the men's bathroom. Desmond says that he needs to get in touch with Penny immediately. He doesn't know how to reach her as her number has been disconnected. And then Charles Whitmore talks about Desmond's cowardice and his second thoughts. He ultimately gives him her address written on a card so that she can tell him herself that she hates him. As Charles Whitmore leaves the bathroom, he leaves the faucet on. Just as Desmond is about to turn off the faucet, the flash ends. Minkowski and Desmond are going to the sabotage radio room. Minkowski says that it is happening faster and is getting harder. Desmond then asks George Minkowski how it happened to him. Minkowski tells him that they were bored out of their minds waiting for their orders anchored here, so he and Brandon, another crew member, decided to take the ship's tender to see the island. But Brandon started acting erratic, so they turned around. Soon after, Brandon died and Minkowski grew unstable. Sayid looks at the destroyed equipment and then asks Minkowski who is responsible for the damage. Minkowski doesn't seem to know and adds that he feels sorry for the person when the captain finds out. He suddenly phases out again. Sayid uses his military experiences to repair the phone. Desmond notices a calendar that says the year is 2004. Sayid sees it also and notes that it's almost Christmas. As Desmond realizes the date, he starts to bleed from his nose, and suddenly Minkowski has a fit and he bleeds again. Minkowski's final trip cost him his life, as he died when he returned to 2004, his last words being, "I can't get back." Desmond wakes up in the bathroom, the sink overflowing with water. After refreshing his face, he goes to see Penny. She opens the door to a distraught Desmond and says she wants to have a clean break from Desmond, but he insists she listen to him, pleading for her phone number. After entering the flat, he tells her that he needs her number so he can call her in 8 years, December 24, 2004. Ultimately, even though she doesn't understand why he just can't call her tomorrow, after promising to leave if she gives him the number, she gives him Desmond her number, 7946-0893. She pushes him out the door while he pleads that she cannot change her number. Desmond comes back and tells Sayid the London number. Sayid repairs the phone, dials it, and passes it to Desmond. Desmond engages in a joyous and tearful call with Penny, where she tells him that she has been looking for him for 3 years, also confirming to Desmond her conversation with Charlie from the Looking Glass episode. Penny is wearing a ring on her finger, on her right hand. She knows about the island, she has researched it, and is desperately trying to find him. And then Desmond's like, "I love you, Penny. I've always loved you." And they each say they love each other, like, right away. Like, "I love you, I love you, I love you more. I'll call you, I'll wait, I'll find you." And then the battery dies out. Desmond then thanks Sayid by name. Now with his memory back, he says, "Perfect." Then we have Daniel Faraday flips through his journal looking for an entry until it comes to a page that reads, "If anything goes wrong, Desmond Hume, it will be my constant." And that's what ends this episode of Lost. Lots of people absolutely love this episode. I think it's good. I'm going to score the episode a 9.4 out of 10. My character of the episode, obviously, Desmond, Sayid, Penny was good too, and Daniel Faraday. Even though I don't like Faraday as a character, I know a lot of people love Faraday, but I think he's annoying. So, good episode, but not the best episode of Lost. I'd think probably top 15 or top 10. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Lost. What would you rate the episode? Who would be your character or characters of the episode? Anything else do you want to add? Remember, you'll be interacting with me, but also the legendary Crazy Coffee Man, so let him know that his episode review or episode breakdown was amazing. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.